Wonderful, wacky women, Susie Toronto here. I'm so glad that you joined me again today. This morning, I really wasn't even going to plan on doing a broadcast today, but this morning as I was kind of laying in bed, cruising through Facebook, one of my friends from my Polynesian ohana posted a question on Facebook that got me to thinking. He said, I'm going to read it. If today your life was fulfilled, in other words, if you kicked the bucket, what would you do? What would you hope your life would be remembered for? And I thought, wow, that's a loaded question, especially since we're all looking at this virus and, worried that we have family and friends that are dealing with it, and we're seeing the death rate all over the country. And wow, it was just a lot to take in, just even reading that. And I got to thinking about that as it applies to this virus that we're all coming up against. And I realized there are so many things that could take our life in a second, like a car accident or a heart attack. We just never know when something like that's going to happen. And so as I thought about that and how I would be remembered if I was gone, I also started thinking about what would life be like 2 years from now when we're talking about this pandemic and these weeks of isolation and how we coped with it. What would we remember, and what would be remembered of us? Would we be remembered because we were in the corner curled up in a ball in a fetal position crying the entire time, or were we making the best of a good situation? So there's really became a loaded question. So I immediately start typing my answer to my friend Rudy. And at first, it was very wordy. I'm a writer. What can I say? It got very, very wordy as I started. And of course, my first thing I wanted to be remembered for was how devoted I am to my faith, to my family, and to my friends. That's a given. I think that all of us feel that way. I think that answering that way is absolutely a given for at least the circle of friends that I run with, people like you and me. We all love our family. It's the idea that I wanted to be remembered as a good mother, daughter, sister, friend, partner to my husband. I think that's part of ingrained into our DNA, that we want to embrace our little tribe around us. But I also wanted to be remembered for my passions and my hobbies and my work. And as you can imagine, this list got longer and longer that I sent off. When I think about wanting to be a good wife and mother and daughter and sister and friend, I started thinking about what it means to be good to our family. And when I say family, I really mean my ohana. In the Polynesian community, we use the term ohana. It has nothing to do with bloodlines. It is all about your tribe, who you encircle around you, who gather around you during trials and triumphs, the good and the bad, the ones that you count as family, whether they're related to you or not. That is your ohana. And I love the idea that in the Hawaiian culture, ohana truly does trump bloodlines. Ohana includes everything. And really, that's what it's all about. So I love that concept. And so that was a given that I wanted to always be good to my ohana. But what defines good? What does it mean to be a good person? I think it means that we're good in our faith, whatever our faith is, whatever our code of ethics is, whatever our moral values are, that we stick close to those, especially in a time of a pandemic like this. This is when our true colors are starting to shine. And, I would hope that my integrity would shine out to where I wouldn't be the one that was remembered for trying to hog up everything in the grocery store. I hope that I would be remembered for the one that was sharing, was only trying to take what I needed to get by. So I think that's part of being a good person. That's part of being a good person of faith, and also good for your fellow man. Good for our country, doing the right thing for the right reason, which is another thing. Doing the right thing for the right reason isn't always easy. When you're looking at 2 packages of toilet paper on the shelf, do you take them both, or do you just take one because that's all you really need? Is the right thing for the right reason. I'm telling you, if there's one universal truth that I believe in, It's that there is no right way to do a wrong thing. So let's make sure that when this is all said and done, that we are remembered for having done the right thing for the right reason. Not just that which was beneficial to us, not that just made us feel good or alleviated our anxieties for the moment. Let's make sure that we're doing the right thing for the right reason. So as I started taking this beyond just the pandemic that we're facing right now, and what if I got this? We're hearing about people who have their first symptom and are on ventilators less than 7 days later with their family all around on cell phones saying goodbye to them. That's a real reality right now. But it's also a reality as you make your next run to the grocery store, you could be hit by a car and it would be over too. So as I got to thinking about that, I thought about the amazing but difficult opportunity that I had a couple of months ago to write my daughter's obituary. I was honored that my son-in-law asked me to do it. And I'll tell you, it was really an eye-opener for me as I wrote it. I thought about what her life was like and what we remember her for, and I thought, okay, so Rudy asked the question, what do I want to be remembered for? I really got to thinking. Yes, like I said already, faith, family, and friends is a given. But what else? So my extended family and friends that know me from the greater Orlando area also knew my mother quite well. And the last time I did a video, I had so many of them say, oh my word, you look just like your mother. You even sound like your mother. And I've always thought that was a compliment because my mother was a beautiful, lovely, well-spoken woman. But the most important thing that people remember about my mother was that they would always say she was the kindest woman I've ever known. That really includes everything, doesn't it? When I think about her being kind, she was kind to me when I didn't always deserve it. She was always kind to my father. They never had major disagreements. They would always talk things through in a kind voice. My mother was kind to strangers. It was her saying that I actually wrote a piece about in my one of my calendars that said, in a world where you can grow up to be anything, she used to always say, Susie, just grow up to be kind. I don't care what you do with your life, just be kind, be good. And she used to always say, you'll never regret being too kind. You may go through your life and do a lot of things that you wish you could redo over and do differently, but you'll never, ever regret being too kind. The second thing that I would love to be remembered for is the fact that this is kind of a negative thing, but my family called me the fix-it fairy because whenever something's wrong, I'm the first one to jump in and try to fix it. And I quickly learned that when my daughter was dying of cancer, that there are just some things in this world you can't fix. And that was a real struggle for me because when my fix-it fairy mentality kicked in, I didn't know what to do and I was at a loss. And I was busy trying to make myself useful doing other things instead of stepping back and simply being a lighthouse for my family. So what does it mean to be a lighthouse? Sometimes your job is not to be the rescue ship. Sometimes, and at some point in your life, your job becomes being the lighthouse, to be a beacon for your family and friends, to stand on firm, solid ground, lighting the path for them. And it was during this time that I came to realize that I didn't have to be the fix-it fairy all the time, and that what I needed to do was embrace my inner light. And I believe that all of us have, not just some of us, all of us have an inner light that we can manifest and let shine for others to illuminate their path. The third thing, like as I wrote in my obituary for my daughter, I'd like to be thought of as crazy, brave, and wicked strong. My daughter was fearless. She had no fear when it came to jumping off of cliffs or diving off of the side of the houseboat at Lake Powell. She jumped out of airplanes. She did all kinds of stuff. She was in the military. She was a nurse. She was a concert pianist. She would walk out on stage and absolutely, you couldn't tell that she was jittery or scared or anything. She would just glow. She was fearless. And I would like to be thought of like that. I'd like to be thought of as being crazy brave and wicked strong. I'd like to be thought of as being a front seat roller coaster kind of girl, the one that wants to sit in the front seat and throw her arms in the air and enjoy the ride coming down. So as I thought about this short list, like I said, this is in addition to God, Family, and Country. This is just the secondary list. I thought I better start working on this right now, because here's the thing. Both you and I need to understand that who we will be tomorrow, we are becoming today. And especially during this time of adversity, there is no better time that we learn these kind of hard lessons, like I said the other day, at the most inconvenient times when we're going through adversity. Let's start honing in on some of these things. I know I'm going to start working on it today, so that someday, hopefully it won't be too soon, I will be thought of as a woman who loved her God, her family, her country, who was crazy brave and wicked strong, who was a lighthouse to her family, and who was just like her mother, was kind. I'm starting today. Won't you join me and make yourself a list? What things do you want to work on? And what a great time we have now to work on these virtues that will define who we are tomorrow. I can't wait for 2 years from now when we all start posting those memories back on Facebook of where we were 2 years ago, holed up in our houses. What were we doing to make a difference? This past week, I reached out to so many of you and asked you if you would accept fabric in return for volunteering your time to make face masks. For a lot of you, it was out of your comfort zone. A lot of you were sending me pictures of the very first things you ever had sewn and had completed. A lot of us start projects, a lot of us don't complete them, but I've been getting swarms of pictures of these masks that you're creating. I am so amazingly wonderful pictures that you've created for me, and I'm so thrilled to be able to see them and to share them. I realize that you're scared. I realize that you're huddling around with your families and holding them close, but you're reaching out of your comfort zone and you're making the world better for other people. You're sharing those masks and you're giving them away. One of the wacky women out there, Carolyn, she's made up little packages, put each one into a Ziploc baggie, carries them in her purse with instructions on how to use them, and hands them out when she goes to the grocery store. What a wonderful idea. And also, of course, the first responders need them. Of course, the medical society needs them. But those grocery store employees, the gas station people, they all need them too. I love the fact that you're all reaching out of your comfort zone to make a difference in the world. This will be your legacy 2 years from now when we talk about, do you remember the pandemic of 2020 when we were all isolated? Let's be remembered for the positive things that we can do. I am so grateful for the opportunity that I have to share these thoughts with you. They help me to focus on who I want to become tomorrow. And I gotta tell you, I love this opportunity that I have, like my necklace says, to be living Plan B. Aloha nui. Mahalo.